Good morning, everyone. Today we will go through a bit of revision on AngularJS just to clarify that you are on the same page with me. We'll create a full featured application or let's say a small part of the application. So our target today is to create a product management page. The page would look something similar to this. So this is a product management page that is created in AngularJS. You can search something over here, you can add new products, and you can edit and delete, and you can rate them also over here. So this is kind of a similar application you will build in your day-to-day life. So what I'll do is I'll tell you the easy part and you will need to create the harder part by yourself. So we'll start with the Scratch project. I need you to be interactive in this case. So you tell me what should I do to create an Angular application, not me telling you. That way we can recap everything. Multi and web API. And no authentication.
यहाँ अगर कोई authentication select करते हैं तो वो automatically पूरा create करता है?
Yes, it creates automatically. So what should be my next step?
NuGet.
What will I do with NuGet?
AngularJS, jQuery, whatever you want to add.
While working with AngularJS, don't use NuGet at all.
Okay.
There are lots of plugins which are not available on NuGet that you have to get by Bower. So we will not use AngularJS from NuGet. We will use Bower for that purpose. So first I need to create all the server-side dependencies. So how should I go about it? First I need to create a model, product model. For quick I'll just copy everything from already created project. So these are some of the properties, simple properties that I have created. What should I do next?
Service side, whatever you want to create methods and all, you have to create.
Yeah, but what should be my next step now? I have created model now. What should be my exact next step? What file that I will add now?
Any interface or anything you want to create, then you can create right now.
So you tell me, like right click and add this thing.
Controller is not directly edited because before that we need to define the methods and all. Suppose I want to insert something, we have to create a add method in particular any repository folder or else in model.
Right now we are in demo, so we are not going on interface or repository patterns. It will be very simple server side. This is entity framework part only. So I have created model, then I need to add DB context.
code first. We are using code first, right?
Yes. So I don't have entity framework as such added right now.
Yes.
So this is my model part done. I'll just compile application one time so that when I am scaffolding my controller, things are available. Now what should I do?
Add a page with eligible accessible, how to create it. If you are using code first. Scaffolding, you have to create a controller, web API controller, I think. With read write. Just add controller in that you can get it now. You get started. Good.
So this is pretty much I require on server side. I don't need more than this. All my insert, update, deletion operations are done over here. So controller and models are done. My views will be lightweight because I am writing everything on client side. So what should be my next step?
You have to create database for that now.
So database will be automatically generated in this case.
Now you have to create client side view and consume your web API in that.
That is a high level idea. I want a step-by-step approach, like what file I need to add, what should I write in that thing, those kind of things.
What are you want to display like on UI?
I know. But what file will I add? Or what things I add now?
In view part you have to create. No, first you have to create.
First I need to download AngularJS dependencies. That should be my first priority. So what I'll do is I'll use Bower for that purpose. So Bower init, it will create Bower JSON for me. For Bower, Git is a dependency, so you need to install Git first before installing Bower. So I'll just add yes to everything, and the bower.json file is created for me over here. Now either I can now create a Bower RC file to specify that I want all the dependencies downloaded in scripts folder, or I can just leave it as it is and it will download everything in Bower_components. For this demo I'll just go with Bower components. So my first dependency is obviously AngularJS. And I'll save that also in the Bower JSON. Okay, so now my Bower components folder is created and I have Angular over here. I will also need Angular route, so I'll take that also. So these are the two bare minimum libraries I require to create any scale of Angular application. Okay, I now have both Bower components ready here. What should be my next step?
Create a controller or else create a view
Where?
in view folder. Or else, yes, in view folder you have to create your view.
We are not going to use any server-side views as such.
Okay, HTML folder.
HTML. No, we need to go structured way. So what you are saying, where should I create the folder? Where should I create the file? What will be the structure? So I need to add app folder at the root.
Okay.
So this is the starting point of my application. App. In app, I will add a global module, AngularJS module. This one, app.js. So this is my global module. I don't need ng animate, and this is it. So this is my starting point. What should I do now? Yes,
What do you want next to do?
that is what I am asking. If you are developing this application, what would you do next? I need everybody to participate.
You would add some folder for home.
So you can tell me the name of the folder, I'll create that for you. So what should I do now?
Creating the product kind of folder.
Okay.
JS controller.
So we'll create a product folder. Now what?
Product controller JS
Okay.
or service. First we can create a service.
Right. So first we always create service. That is the bare starting point for our application. Now one more thing that you should learn in this module is that every component is a separate module. So controllers will be on that module. So for this, for example, in this case, product will have its own module. So that will be my first file. For this I don't need any dependencies as such right now. So this is my blank module. And I will create all my dependencies on product module. Now a service. Product.service. Okay, this is the structure I usually don't use. So in the first session I explained about this prototype pattern, how to create prototype that will help you have this object orientation in JavaScript. So what I can do is I can create the product service. And I can define additional functions on product service like this. Get. Now for this service, what are the dependencies that I am looking? One would be let me name it properly, product service. What are the dependencies that I am looking? Now I need to make some server side calls. What dependencies I'll expect?
You need to inject
What should I inject over here?
modular product. Okay, that is
So this is what you will do. Now onwards, all the product related things will be on product module. So your global app is not polluted. So here what I'll do is I'll need to inject $HTTP first, because that is how I'll make server side calls, and I don't think I require any other service as such at this moment.
Would route provider and location provider would help in injecting this future?
You don't require that in service. You may require that in controller. Service is simply making a server side calls. It is not doing anything else. So they are very lightweight. So I have injected this over here. Now this is what you need to do: return new product service. This way your entire JavaScript remains isolated from the from all your AngularJS. The $HTTP that I injected over here will be received here. This is something like constructor for you. Here I'll assign $HTTP is equal to $HTTP. So far, are you with me?
As you use a new keyword, that's why the product services would behave as a class, right?
Yeah. JavaScript has no concept of class at all. This is still a function, but it gives us impression that it's a class.
If I have not used new keyword, then it would be working as a function, right?
Then you won't be able to call that like this, because you need to return something as an object.
Yeah.
Because if I had not done like this, what I would have done is I would have directly written something, and I would write like this. So this is a typical approach most AngularJS developers use. They will return the object of all the methods that they want to expose. This is the simplest way to write your functions, but this can become unmanageable in large application.
But if return product service I had done, then what would the change between return product service and return new product service?
So you cannot do return product service only, because then you are not returning anything. Because product service itself is not returning anything. So this function does not return anything, or neither these functions. So you are essentially writing return on a void function. So you are not getting anything return. So you have to use new in that case. So in this prototype matter, you have to use new. So new and delete both will work over here, very similar to your normal object-oriented programming. So here I'll go with the return new product service and will inject $HTTP. And as you can see, all functions are my IFI functions. So nothing remains on the global scope. What should I do over here? This $HTTP dot get API slash products. I'll directly return this. So this is my simple get method. Nothing complicated about it. Are you clear up to this point? Any doubts? Okay, what should I do next?
Controller.
Okay. Again, I'll remove those things. Here also I'll use the prototyping pattern. One common thing that controllers inject is scope. So that is your minimum dependency. And here I'll return the controller. And I'll pass scope over here. So this is my bare minimum controller. Here I'll take the controller and assign it locally so that I can reuse it. Clear up to this point? So what should I define now? I have defined controller. What should I define in controller now?
Variables or binding, whatever you want.
Yeah, but what will you do? Now I need to list all the products first.
Okay.
So
Based on
if you are in application, index page would be the first page where you will list out all your products. This is your definition. So what would you do in this controller now?
service
Yeah, I will make a service call, but what should I define over here now?
create a scope variable for listing.
Okay, tell me what should I write as a code?
I think somewhere you have to inject service also.
Okay, let's inject the service. So are you able to understand why I am doing this over here? Why I am assigning every service that I inject over here? So in C# also, let's take an example to understand it with C#. So this is my constructor. What happens when I pass something over here? And now I want to access here. Can I access it? No, because whatever I passed over here remains only to this function. It has no lifetime after that, unless I can do something like I can create a backend variable like this, and then I can assign underscore this, sorry, underscore test is equal to test. Now I would be able to access this dot underscore test. The same value that I passed over here is now available throughout my class. So this is the same concept that I am using in JavaScript. The first function that we write with the same product controller name, it's our constructor. So we need to assign them on its instance, so we can later on reuse in the later functions. So what I'll do is I'll just define the first function, that is get function. So again, prototyping pattern, get, I don't need any inputs, I'll just get all the data and will show to the user. What I'll do over here is I'll use this dot product service dot get. It will return me something, then I will use then, because it returns me a promise. It does not return the result because everything is asynchronous. So everything comes in a then function D, then whatever things that will come, I'll use $scope dot products is equal to D dot data. So this is how my first get function is ready to bring data and show it on the client side. Sorry,
Is it for product service?
no, it will be products. So as you can see, I have used this over here to bring all the services that I defined in the constructor. Are you clear up to this point? Please ask question if you have any doubts.
Why we are using prototype method here? Just any particular reason?
So this allows a simple object orientation in JavaScript. I can write everything in the directly over here also, but that becomes unmanageable. Here my actual business logic is separated from the Angular portion. So they are easy to document also. So if I want to document something over here, I can write a comment for this function independently, just like in your C# code. But if I write everything inside this, it's very difficult to document anything. So this is just a best practice that most people use.
Either dot get is a kind of keyword used, or we can use get one, get two, something like that also.
Where?
Prototype
Line
dot
get.
get.
Line get.
This one? Yeah, this is custom defined. This is what we define. So you can define something like get products also.
Do we need to call this function from somewhere?
Yes, we'll need to call it. Right now we have just defined it. Now this function is on the controller right now, but it is not on the scope. For view to look this function, it needs to be on the scope. So what we'll do is $scope dot get is equal to this dot get. So this is how you assign your reference. So now this method is visible on the scope also. How do you call this method now when the controller is instantiated? Either you can use something like this. If I don't define it on scope, I can directly call this method. I don't need the view to look this method. I can just do like this. So whenever the controller is instantiated, my call will be there, it will fetch data and it will show on the view. So this is how you can call your initialization method. Another approach is to put it on the scope and use it from the view end.
Do we need to have this dot get or this dot get products?
Yeah, this dot get products. Here I am just keeping the name get for the simplicity purpose. Now what should I do? I have defined an initial method that will fetch me the data. What will you do next? Sorry? Okay, UI, but be specific. What should I do now? I'll add the index.html. That will be my landing page for this section. I don't need those things. Okay. First thing would be my div with ng controller. ng would be on our server side view. We'll come back to that later. First we should write all the logic related to the application, then we should touch the server side part again. So here I added the index.html. What should be the next step? I need to create a table where I can list all the items that is coming from the server. So I have already done that over here. Just to save over time, I'll just quickly add the markup. So this is a simple HTML table with all the columns: name, description, price, image, rating and actions. I'll get the products from the scope. So I'm ng repeating on products, getting all the product and creating individual TDs for it. So you should always put ng repeat on the element which you want to replicate. And in that you can create your own elements accordingly, right? Like this.
When we are accessing products, is the get function already gets called before that, or when it is going to get called?
So that is what will come back a bit later. Right now over here I'll just directly put the ratings. So here you can see I have written down this product name, description, price, but in case of image I need to use ng source. I cannot use directly source. Source is a static element and it will be treated like that. So sometimes what happens with many developers is they write like this and they write inside this. This does not work. When you see in your development tool, it will show that product.image URL not found. That URL will come because it is not getting resolved. So for that specific purpose, you need to put ng source only. Clear up till now? Now, how do I invoke my first method? When the page loads, there are two ways to do that thing. One is to define that on a scope like this and put an ng init attribute. So this way, whatever the function you write over here will get called when this view is loaded. This is one way to do that. For this specific purpose, you need this method on scope. But if you don't want to put this method on scope, you can directly invoke over here. It is always best not to put lot of things on the scope. So this would be a much better method in this case. Just remove these things for now. So all things are in order. Now I need to inject my product module in my app module. Just similar to how I inject ng route, I'll inject product module here. Like this. So what we essentially did was, product is now a reusable component. You can use it across any of your application. So always create components like this. So and product module has everything of its own. So it can define its own routes, it can define its own dependencies and everything. It is not depending on ng app at all. Okay, now what should I do? I need to define some routes. Okay, again for that I'll add a simple module and then I'll define routes on it. I don't need dependencies now because that is already been defined. What I'll do over here now, how to define routes.
Location provided.
Method.
So tell me the code.
Route provider and location provider. Comma.
Where?
After product.
After product over here.
Yes.
Everybody agrees on that?
Config dot config.
Sorry?
Dot config and location provider.
Okay. Config. What should be the first dependency? Route provider. I am not using location services right now because that is not an essential thing. Here I am not defining it separately. I will just write the simple code because this is the place where you don't need too much of management because this is simple routes, only when and otherwise. Okay. What should I write over here? Route provider.
Default
Then
Then
template and controller.
where should I? After comma or it should be a separate thing? Over here? Like this. So this is my simple route provider. This will not work. What is the reason?
We haven't injected route provider
You have not injected ng route. So here I need to define ng route. I have defined that on the app.js. This can work also, but it is better not to inject anything globally, which you may not be using globally. Route is something that you are going to use on every module. So route is good candidate to be defined globally, but otherwise all dependencies should be module wise. In this case, we'll just go with the module wise for a moment. So ng route needs to be there. Then you define all your routes. So we have defined just one products route. Index is ready for us. What should be our next step? We need to go back on our server end now to create the initial page. So layout will be where we'll reference all your AngularJS libraries. For that we typically go with bundling. what is my path? Our components /Angular /AngularJS. Second would be my route. So this is my Angular dependencies. What should be the next steps? I'll add all my script bundles of the app, the actual app.
Can't we just provide directory instead of adding all?
You can provide like that, but it will add all the files then.
But we need.
There are multiple JS files. So one angular.js would be there, then angular.min.js would also be there.
In case of app.
In case of app, you can do a similar thing, but then you don't need, you won't have control on ordering, in which order it will load. We want service to be loaded first, then controllers. But if you go alphabetically, controllers would load first. So that control is lost if you load entire directory. So what essentially you can do in this case is something similar what is done over here, modernizer. You can write star. After app/product, you can write star. So it will add all the files. But then there is no control which file will be loaded first. So here we'll go with the app/product/ So in previous examples what we saw was we were first loading app.js, but now since our modules are independent, so they need to be loaded first before app.js comes into the picture. So that's why this thing will be first, then I'll load the routes, then service, then the controller. Is it clear up till now? Then I'll need to add these two on the layout page at the bottom. I'll do that after the bootstrap. AngularJS has no dependency on jQuery as such. So you can remove jQuery in your projects when you are using Angular. So it has its own inbuilt JQLite library available, which is limited set of jQuery. But sometimes you will require more functionality of jQuery in your application. So if you add jQuery at the top, it will automatically replace JQLite of AngularJS, and it will be a full-featured jQuery inside AngularJS. So this is my first bundle. And the second bundle. So this is how I referenced both the libraries, AngularJS and my app. Now I'll go at the body and I'll put ng-app. So my layout page is ready. Then I'll need to go to the home index page. I'll remove everything over here. I'll create a simple div and I'll put ng view over here. So my server side is also ready now.
In layout, you have to add HSR of products.
Sorry.
In layout, don't you have to add HSR for products page?
Yeah, you can add. Otherwise, you can directly write the URL also slash.
Okay.
For now, we'll just won't add that thing. We'll directly go there from the URL. So, do you think any steps is missing right now? We defined model. We defined controllers. We created the app structure. We added the AngularJS dependencies. We changed the server side views. Anything pending? No? Let's run the application and find it out. So nothing loads initially because we have not run the application. Products loaded, but with lots of errors. So it is not able to load because of a dependency issue. Let's see what dependency it is missing. Okay, in bundle config we did not add app.js at all. Let's refresh. This dot get is not a function. From where it is coming? From over here. Now this is where I'll need to explain a bit more about a concept called closures. So this issue came because of the JavaScript's dynamic nature. Even though at a runtime when it is executing, it will treat this as a class. But when I'll individually execute this function, it does not know about get products. Let's define it over here. Let's see. So my table was loaded, but no data came out. Let's see if it made a server side call or not. So it did made a server side call. Nothing useful was fetched because we don't have any data on server side. Let's add some data, some seed data. To add seed data, we need to enable some migrations. So this is again going back to the entity framework concepts. We need to enable migrations. This will allow us to run the seed method. So this method is created. You will see that a migration folder is created and there you will see a configuration file. In that we have seed method. There you can write initial logic, okay, that I want this many products to be inserted automatically. And we need to call save changes after context has been added. As you can see, it is add or update. So if you modify something over here, next time you run your application, it will check based on the name, and if it is different, then it will update your data. I need to set DB context also properly. So what I'll do is I'll go in the constructor. I need to set the initializer. Migrate to the latest version. The first argument is product context, and the second one is configuration. So my initializer has been set, so it will automatically initialize database and will run the seed method. So we'll have some data to be displayed on the product side. Cannot read property $scope. Let's see what happened. In app, in product, controllers. We can put a breakpoint over here, and then on 15th line. Let's run it again. Okay, let's see what this refers to over here right now. It is still a product controller. It's a service and get. Perfectly fine. The call is made and the execution ends over there. Since this is an asynchronous call, so this function will get executed, but there will be a callback that will come later on. Okay, let's see what this is now. It becomes undefined. Technically, if you see, it should refer to this parent function get products, but it is not, because now it is lost. To solve this issue, let's just stop it over there. You need to use closures. What I'll do is I'll make the closure of the current function like this, variable underscore this. So name could be anything that you want. I'm just keeping it as a simplicity, and this is much easier to read also. Assign something like this, and now when you use this like that, it created a closure for you. So the context will remain even though if the function is executed and you are now in a callback. This will be again be there and you will get your data. So always use something like this. Let's see. We got all our data over there. So closures are very critical concept when you are writing JavaScript. Images did not come because they are not in the folders as such right now. But as you can see, all things are there. Now, if you see data, price is coming like this. Ideally, it should be with some symbols, dollar or rupees. So there we use filters. this is a simple filter that you can apply. Just refresh the page. As you can see, $sign is coming up now. Now we are in India, we are not in US. How do you get US rupees symbol over here? So there is you can search online for this HTML code. Okay, I got that properly yesterday, but the search result is not exactly what I did yesterday. Anyways, I'll take from my existing thing. This is the code, right? So this is the rupee code that I want. So I can take this and put it over here. As you can see now, the rupee symbol comes in over here. So this is quite simple for you to develop complex application with the this rupee and all those things. Now ratings. We don't like to see ratings like this 4, 3, 1 something like. Instead we would like to see it as a stars, 5 out of 3 and those kind of thing. For that we'll need to search an external plugin. Let's search it. Angular ratings. So this is the one that I found yesterday. It's called ng-rated. It will show you something similar to this. So they have a very simple way to explain all the installation procedure, and that is what I said, like most of the components will be on Bower. You won't get this on the NuGet. So how do we set this thing up? We need to first execute this Bower install. Let's do that. This will install ng-rated and all the required dependencies. Then what they have suggested, add the CSS and JS file, and then inject the module in your app. So let's add both of them. In app start, we'll go in the bundle. Here I'll add all the Bower components again. So Angular rated. In the list, and in that ng-rated.js. I also need to add its CSS. It's the same path over here, even the JS part. Just need to put CSS. So this is the setup that they have suggested. So these two steps are done. Now we need to inject this in our which module? Which module? Oh, we'll add it in our Product module, because we don't need it globally. This is the only place we require this. So this is done. Now this will add a directive for you. I'll go over here and over here in ratings, ng rate it. Let's see the exact syntax over here. So this is my custom plugin that I injected in my application, which will show me ratings. Let's run the application again. As you can see, now the ratings are coming up over here. As you can see, it's quite effortless to create this kind of application in AngularJS. Any doubts? So what I want you guys to do is create a add form and edit form. I'll share this code already, that where add is already there, so you can look into that. Based on add, you create edit page and try to create a delete button also. So on delete, it should prompt user that are you sure you want to delete this, and when I click yes, it should delete that product. So let me show this page also. In this I have placed all the validations and everything for you for your reference. So this is my products page. Everything is coming properly. The images are also there. Edit button, delete buttons. Search is there. I'll hit add. As you can see, my route changed. I have this form available now. If you see, that validation also got fired there because I placed name as the compulsory field and price as a compulsory field. Something like this. Hit the submit. So I have placed this toaster also, that when something is saved, it will show me a notification that product was saved successfully. When I hit back, I get this Nintendo at the bottom. So edit would be similar form. This is the same form that you will use in edit, but with the pre-filled data where you can edit anything over here. The challenging part would come when you have to upload a file. Because typically you create a form, you put a specific type, ink type I think. When you want to upload a file, you use this multi-part upload in normal MVC. So here you will have some challenge that there is a plugin available, ng file upload, that you can use to streamline this also. So I have showed you one demo of one plugin. So this, your challenge is to use the another plugin to do the same type of functionality.
Any file upload in this jar is actually we end up in a directive, right?
Yes. So they can be directives, controllers, and lot of things. That's a combination of everything. So many of these directives have their own controllers also. So in this demo also I have placed one controller, one directive for you, search product directive, where whenever you type something, as I showed you, like angular.element is similar to your jQuery. So I can select element like this, and then on its key press I can emit something. So I am emitting a message to my parent, because emit is your upwards. This directive is inside a controller, product controller. So product controller becomes its parent. So I want to communicate something to my parent. So I'll do this emit. I'll send a specific data, search data, and I'll assign a val over here. And in my controller, I will be looking on that for any event that comes in, this function will be executed with event name and args. So args will contain the search data, and according to search data I can write my logic that okay, filter all the tables, and if index of the ex or whatever I type is there, then push it in my filter products, and my filter products will create something different for you. So this is my filter products in ULLI. So it will give you this combo box type of field when you are searching. So this is a quite comprehensive example that you can refer. If you have any doubts you can ask, but at least try to complete this assignment, that try to do edit, delete and the upload functionality. This three functionality is pending and that needs to be done by you.
Have you placed this way on GitHub?
Yeah, I'll upload this now on GitHub. Any doubts? Any doubts on overall AngularJS?
We have used the .then function instead of returning the promise. How others are doing? They are returning promise or using the then?
You have used?
I mean, we are just calling the service function and then we are using.
You assign it to some variable,
Yeah.
and then use then after that.
So
That's the same thing.
I want that my second function is depending on the first function's return value. So in that case, would I be writing whole function inside the then?
Yeah. There are some workarounds to it. One is use TypeScript. So TypeScript provides a subset of JavaScript, as they call it. So there you can use async await type pattern, which will automatically convert your code into that callback style method. But at least while reading the code, you can write same way as you write your C# code. So it's just a workaround. Essentially, it will be a callback in the actual JS code. So this is one giant project that we created in the AngularJS. So this is our TypeScript. As you can see, I have defined interface for it for static typing. So I can put dot and I can get the Initialization properly. I have created a class which implements iChat controller and everything over here. The JS that gets created with this code is what we already saw. That it creates a function with this name. You assign all your services on this. You create a closure related this, and you define all other methods on the prototype. And at the bottom, just register with new. return new chat controller. So it's a pretty massive application that we developed. So TypeScript is very useful in this kind of application.
TypeScript is like C#.
No, it's not like C#. It's like JavaScript itself, or you can say ECMAScript 2015.
We can use
But you have,
interface.
yeah,
Class also.
yeah. So class is part of the ES 2015 also. So it has come to JavaScript also now, that you can create class in JavaScript also. But from ES 2015 onwards. Most of the browsers currently don't support ES 2015 fully.
Safari, I think.
Safari does not support it. IE11 also does not support. So we'll take TypeScript in the Angular 2 part, so that you can explore more. For now, workaround to a lot of the JavaScript problem is TypeScript. Use TypeScript in your language regularly. Okay, that should be it. I'll come back into the lab and you can start working on this app. I'll just upload this now on GitHub and you can clone it and start working on it. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you.